Okay, hello everyone. My name is Leo, and as already introduced, I want to share my personal experience and motivation about why I interact in climate activism. First, I'd like to give you a short introduction about myself and what I did so far, and then we can talk about how the situation on the planet is right now. And then what policy has been made so far from politics, and then afterwards, what we personally can change. And in the end, I'd like to give you some tips for educational websites and social media accounts to keep yourselves updated on the latest news, which I personally think is very important. So yeah, let's see. I have been engaging in activism a lot in my youth and young adulthood. I think the biggest things I did was this civil disobedience when we, with thousands of other German activists, were trying to block the coal mining fossil fuels industry in southern Germany. And what we basically did was we blocked in an action, we blocked the train tracks so that the coal wouldn't come out of the mine anymore. And I was living in the nearby forest that was meant to be cut down by the coal mining companies. And we built up tree houses there to protect the forest. And luckily, in the end, part of the forest is now being left there and is not being cut down, which is a minor win, but it's quite nice. Yes, so what is the situation right now on Earth? As most of you know, the temperature of the Earth is rising since industrial times in the 1900s. And we're currently at 1.2 degrees Celsius, which is already quite a lot. Here's a little graph. You can see that the temperature on the surface of the Earth, so not on the oceans, is rising much faster because the land is warming up faster than the ocean is. So right now in Germany and Europe generally, the temperature is double as much as the global mid-temperature. So we are here now at 2.3 or even more degrees. And by the end of the century, we plan to be at 4.6 degrees. This is quite crucial because and bad because at +4 to 5 degrees by the end of the century, you can imagine what the ecosystems will go through. Basically in northern Germany, we will probably relax as in the Mediterraneans in sun with little plants around. But then in the Mediterranean, it's going to be so hot that you will probably not even want to go for holidays there anymore. This is a quite nice graphic of a satellite picture of the Northern Arctic ice shield. This is a picture how it melts from the 1900s until today, which is quite significant. And I think we're all young enough to still experience this, which is in summertime, the ice shield and of the ocean being completely melted away. Yeah, what else? So basically, what else will affect us in Europe is that, as I already said, we will have major droughts, especially in these areas here in the southern part of Europe. And we have immense temperature going on already, which you can see here. So in Cordoba, in Spain, we had a new record set in 2023 in April, which was 38.7 degrees. And this is not just a minor record, it's nearly 5 degrees higher than the record before. So you see jumping up does not necessarily go very slow. It can also go quite fast. This is one of my favorite graphics, actually. It's a graphic about what will happen if we have 3 degrees warming. And the proceedings of a National Academy of Science in the US did research on this and made this graphic. And they say that if we do not start reducing our emissions to 0, the Earth will warm up to 3 degrees by the end of the century. And what happens there is that the surface could be so hot that the annual temperature, it's not just like temperature highs, but the annual temperature will be around 30 degrees in these areas. And that's so hot that people will actually not be able to live in these places and go outside and have like a daily life. Crops will not grow, and for several weeks of the year. So that's going to be very difficult. And what's the result of that is that people actually will start to migrate, because these are dead zones maybe, and they will migrate more to the north and to the south, where the suitability for human life is still possible. Yes, but that's not the only thing what will happen if the Earth warms. Also, of course, during if it gets warmer, the ice shields will melt. And that means that the water will rise on the coasts. And as a quick example, after the last ice age, until now, there has been 2/3 of the ice being molten down. And that means that since the last ice age, the water levels of the ocean have risen to 120 meters. And right now we have still enough ice left to rise the ocean levels to 65 meters. So that's really insane. There's a really nice map and website that I'd like to give you as a recommendation. You can take a picture of it if you'd like to. And there you can check by regulating this water meter regulator on which areas are still going to be overland or underwater. So for example, if you live in Amsterdam and the water level will rise 1 meter more, you will probably drown. No, but there will, Amsterdam will not be above water level anymore. Yes. So the next thing I'd like to talk about are the tipping points. Tipping points you can basically think of as points of no return. So we have different systems on Earth, ecological systems, geographical systems, that once they collapse, there's no way back. So for example, we have the boreal permafrost grounds, which keep a lot of carbon dioxide emissions and gases in the ground. And they now melt due to climate warming and release all of this. So the warmer it gets, the more will be released. And even if we keep the temperature, we cannot freeze the ground again, right? Then the next one, which most of you have heard of probably, are the coral reefs. They also store a lot of carbon dioxide under the water, and they bleach out and die off. So up to date, about 2/3 of the reefs in the Great Barrier Reef in Australia are already dead. Yes, then we have the boreal forests. Trees and forests also save a lot of carbon dioxide and store it. And if these dry or burn down, the trees release it, which is also really bad. And then last but not least, the ice shields that we already talked about. If all of them melt, then also less sun will be reflected back into the space. So more of the warmth will stay on Earth, which will make it even hotter. Yes. So what about policymaking? What has happened so far? In 1992, there was the first big COP climate summit. where everyone decided that we have to do something against climate warming. And I think the Paris Climate Summit in 2015 is the one that most of you know, because everyone there decided that we have to stay below 1.5 degrees Celsius. The last one was in Dubai in 2028, and to me personally, it was very frustrating because there was big lobbyism of people who earn their money with fossil fuels on the back of climate change. And therefore, the outcome was very disappointing and sad. The IPCC, which is one of the United Nations climate facilities, they have brought out this statistics that if we stay and implement the policies that we have agreed on, but we're still not very good at actually putting them into practice, we will warm up to 3 degrees or even warmer. And if we have this crazy downfall, which you can see here, by cutting our emissions to 0 right now, then we can even reach the 1.5 degrees Celsius. But probably you all follow the news, and it's quite difficult to cut emissions fully, especially because not everyone feels like doing it on the policy-making level. So yeah, what does that mean for us young people? It means that we all have to take action, and we have to force our governments and remind them on that they have to take care of what they promised, right? And it's actually not so difficult because the solutions are there. We have so many technological and environmental options to reduce emissions or even put them back into the ground. There's this new startup that collects CO2 from the air and binds it chemically to minerals to get it out of the earth. So we have a lot of solutions. We just need the politicians and policymakers to implement those. Yes. What can we do personally as young people? Here you have a nice overview on what are the biggest greenhouse gas emission-making industries. And yeah, you can pick for yourself what you want to do in your daily life. And on top of that, or besides, you can be a practical or theoretical activist, go to protests, organize groups, especially talk to each other, educate your surrounding, your family and friends. That's always super interesting and super important. Yes. And at last, I'd like to give you some websites. And this is not the full, but never mind. You can Google also which social media accounts and websites are the ones that give you a good and great education on climate change. Also, if you are depressed or something, you can for sure look up these websites and social media accounts, because they're not only frustrating information, but they also propagate what has happened and what is going very well on a daily level. Okay. So whoever is not shocked enough with my numbers yet, here is a really cute kangaroo. This is one of the thousands of species that will extinct. And if you want to save the kangaroo, take action and become a youth climate activist. Thank you very much for your attention.
Wow, thank you. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it myself personally. There was huge kind of wide eye-opening presentation. Thank you very much. Still a reminder that you have the opportunity, still have a couple of minutes to have some questions said for the speaker. You can either write it in the chat, or you can either write it in the Slido, code it in the chat of the Zoom. So far, we only have one question, so I'm going to translate it up for you.
Okay, so I mean, a big part, I really wanted to put this into my presentation, but as you've seen already, my time is little. So a big part is that we are living in this very growing capitalistic economy. So our economy bases on using more resources. We want to grow all the time, and our Earth is simply not made for this. There's this really nice website also that I can forward you, where you can calculate your environmental footprint, which I would also suggest everyone to do once in their life. And there are different economical solutions, but they usually implement a whole change of economical systems. So that's a really big topic, and it's super interesting to read about. If you're interested, please look it up on the internet, and there are a lot of podcasts about it too, especially about degrowth. But yeah, I think it's going to be very difficult if we stay in capitalistic economical ways to actually make a big change. So the biggest emitters are China, the US, Germany, I think is number 4. And here you always have to look also on the per head emission, right? So China, of course, is a huge country, thus it will also emit huge amounts of emissions. But Germany, for example, where I live, is a relatively small country and a relatively small inhabitant number compared to China. So yeah, we do agree, as I said in the policymaking slide, that there are these climate summits and people do try to push politics forward so that we reach our goals. But it's going way too slow. And in my opinion, this is also mostly because of lobbyism, and people are making so much money still with fossil fuels and capitalistic industries, fast fashion, meat consumption, and so on, that yeah, that's a bit difficult.
Well, thank you then. I'm not gonna take your time for any longer. I'm pretty sure that the participants can find you on social medias, right? On Instagram or whatever. Feel free to drop them in the chat or that. And yeah, thank you very much. It was very nice. I really enjoyed it. I hope others too. And wish you all the best. Have a nice day. Have a nice weekend ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much.